Yes, good afternoon, everyone. For the record, this is a workshop of the Port of the Islands CID Board of Supervisors. Proper notice of today's meeting was provided. Affidavit of that notice was sent to the district's administrative office. We should show that because it is a workshop today, while we do have Ms. Sager physically present, the other four members are all participating by Zoom. In addition, we have the district's engineer, Jared Brown. We also have District General Counsel, Zach Lombardo, Rob Ori, who is your utility rate consultant. And in just a few minutes, also Russ Wire, who is your economist who performed the methodology assessment. When we last met, the board's direction to me was to advertise a workshop in advance of the next regular meeting that will also be the public hearing for the final budget adoption for two purposes. One being further review and direction concerning the most recent methodology update, specifically as it affects boat docks at the condominium marina. In advance, I want to thank Mr. McNamee, who has provided some further analysis of the marina boat slips and the associated lengths of those boat slips by dock category. So just by way of introduction, it's my understanding, Steve can correct me if this is not accurate, that the D dock, D as in David, are what contain the what I call recreational or the smaller slips that only have water hose bib connections. There are 28 of the 175 total condominium boat slips. All of them are currently, as you well know, paying one equivalent residential unit as part of the methodology that was performed. In addition, the board seems to have consensus that for what are classified as the split lots, the either lot and a halves or the double lots, there seems to be consensus, and I have reflected on the fiscal 27 maintenance assessment table, those additional ERUs that will be added as a result of either counting one and a half or two lots in the case for those that are affected. There's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are two 1.5 lots, and then there are an additional 7 double lots in the folio numbers that are shown there. The board did not seem at the last meeting to be in agreement with the rationale for commercial boat slips. Again, one of you will have to correct me. Someone said at the meeting that all of the commercial boat slips, either eco tours or fishing guides, are on one particular boat dock, and y'all will need to help me with that. But as looking at my notes, that's where we are at the present, pending further discussion or direction with respect to the boat docks. So at the moment, we're at 1,137 ERUs. That is 7 more than the current year for the reason that I just stated. So I'll stop there. I don't see yet that Russ has joined us. We should show now. So I do want to thank all three of your consultants who are extremely busy. And so we'll begin with the discussion and further direction or questions of Russ as to the rationale for the most recent update.
Just to contextualize a little bit, as this is a workshop, no official action will be taken. So this is for information gathering purposes, to make sure you have time to get information and ask questions to your consultants so that they can bring back more information if necessary when you actually make the decision at your next meeting. So we won't be taking any consensus polls or making any motions at this meeting. This is to make sure that you understand what they're saying to you and they understand what you're saying to them.
Can I ask for a clarification, please?
I'm not sure if I don't know I can't see in the room.
Yeah, it's Catherine Kellmeyer from B2. I didn't understand what Neil was saying. Was he saying that only D dock, D as in David, is the one that's recreational vehicles? He didn't say anything about B dock, and I want to make sure that B dock is also included in just the smaller boats, no water sewer, no liveaboard, well, it has water, no anything. They're just the smaller recreational boats. I'm not sure what Neil said, that's why I'm asking for clarification. Did he say B and D or only D?
I said D as in David are the smaller slips. The schedule that was provided to us by the Marina Condo for B as in boy docks show average docks between 35 and 40 feet and therefore classified as liveaboard.
None.
Oh, no,
No.
that's wrong. There's
B
no
and D are,
liveaboards on B.
there's no liveaboards on B. They're all small. The only two recreational docks that do not have liveaboards are B and D. D has commercial. I am not sure about B, but B is strictly small boats. My
Okay.
16-foot and a scout.
Yeah.
So
That's backwards. It's B dock is the one, not D. B is in boy, not D is in dog.
thank you.
Okay, Steve, I'll have to get with you offline because it may just have been misimposed there because again, just by way of example, on the schedule that we were provided for B as in boy dock, slip number 1 shows a maximum boat length of 40 feet, and as I understand it, that's not correct.
That's not correct.
As for and by comparison for D dock, it's showing the maximum boat length for slip number 1 of 20 feet. So we may just have those two columns on the spreadsheet and need to be revised. Okay.
Yeah, that's just inverted.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry for that. But this came to us. It was prepared by the Marina Condo.
How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this question? You know what I mean? One person at a time, or how you
it's
want
at Annalise's discretion as to how you want to proceed or direct questions to Russ.
Well, it was my understanding that we would talk about the methodologies for the O&Ms. And now we're talking about ERUs, which are, I didn't have them on my radar, but
all of this pertains to the O&M side.
right. So
and the question from my perspective is, what is the board's policy decision with respect to boat docks? Are they going to remain as they are now at 1, or is there going to be some reevaluation of that?
Well, I think we need a list of everybody that should have an O&M, first of all, because we have some property that has nothing on it that needs to have an O&M. But it's based on benefit. So let's talk about the benefit that the boat docks have with the liveaboards. Let's talk about the benefit that the boats that have just a hose bib have and work from there, because I believe that we need to include everybody. That would include the hotel. I mean, I don't think hotel rooms should be a 1 when it comes to an O&M. I think Russ has a good handle on that. So if we have a list of all of the areas and all the boat docks, all the rooms, the condos, the houses, everything, we can go from there. Has Russ done that? Not Russ Weir done that? That would include vacant property.
Give me a better definition of what you're calling a vacant property.
Something that has nothing on it. What about Lindsay Case's property? How many O&Ms do they have? Is it correct? They're supposed to have 4 per acre. Is that what he's got?
Currently, it is less than that for parcel 13 as a result of the contractual arrangement that was negotiated by the prior board.
Okay.
I believe we are seeking damages for that because the contract it's being The lawyers are working on that right now.
Yeah.
We're seeking all the damages that we would lose because it's not 4 per acre. So
Right. All right, so let's leave that for another discussion. Let's move on to how about boat
Just
docks?
briefly on that point, I went back and reviewed. There's a PUD for that property. It has a set number of units in the PUD, and that PUD is not at a 4 unit per acre level. It's essentially the number that was provided in the O&Ms. So they don't have entitlement beyond that PUD approval.
Okay. All right.
May I ask a question? Because I have some vacant property, and this has been a controversy for quite some time.
I just really quickly because I want to. So I think the board members. I mean, I want to make sure we're clear about public comment versus how we're doing this in this workshop, so that because I assume there's some people in the room, and I want to make sure that if you can do this fairly freeform, Chair Hansen, I just want to make sure that we're affording everyone the opportunity to comment in if that's what we're doing.
Okay, since Steve is serving as our as another consultant, I think we should be able to hear him out as well.
I'm not sure that he's a consultant of the board.
Well, he's been, can we
just as we
vote on
can
that?
to make some sense of this, let's stay with boat docks just for the moment and kind of go down the list from boat docks to other underlying premise and property. And again, if we can, there's currently 175 boat docks on docks A through H, and with the exception of the differentiation between B and D, I've got a total of 175 condominium boat docks. They are all currently one O&M each.
Okay, so let's start there. Like you said, let's start there. What does our consultant have to say about liveaboards?
Russ, are you there? Or you need to unmute yourself. And perhaps he hasn't joined us yet.
Okay.
Let me do this. I'll hop offline. He was traveling. Russ, where?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Sorry.
Okay,
sorry for that. The question is, will you reiterate your most recent recommendation concerning boat docks and the equivalency?
Liveaboards.
Yes. Basically, if you go back to my report, it says that liveaboard slips function differently from the recreational marina slips because the vessels serve as a resident or quasi-residential living arrangement. As such, these slips are better represented by residential trip generation characteristics than by standard marine and berth usage. Therefore, liveaboard boat slips have been assigned a residential equivalent trip generation of 9.43, which is what goes on your regular residential units there. So they were considered as a liveaboard unit is considered a residential unit as if you were living there, not on a boat. That's how I got to that.
What it was your recommendation then for the recreational or water only slips that, as I'm corrected, are on dock B as in boy?
The recreational use slips were 0.25 and the commercial use slips were 0.85 of a residential unit.
Okay.
Okay, so we had questions.
What were the liveaboards?
Well, they were
one.
One.
And you think that they have the same benefit as a home?
Yeah, they're generating the same amount of trips as a home because they're living there.
Okay. All right.
That's just for O&M.
Just for O&M, that's correct.
Right. Okay.
So again, as of our last meeting, we were at 1 and then 2.5 for B dock. There was a lot of talk about the commercial use at a 0.85. Russ, did you have a chance to look at that at all about the trips that they generate?
I have not since we talked. That was calculated. Oh shoot! That was calculated based on a number of studies I had looked at on a national scale from marinas and what they were using. The commercial slips, for instance, on the commercial slips, the traffic associated with these trips has been estimated using an operations-based methodology. And what it did, it calculated trips from a projected passenger, parties, crew arrivals, and support vehicles that would be affiliated with these commercial operating slips. And that method better reflects the actual commercial marina activity and is more defensible than applying a uniform berth-based recreational marina rate to commercial excursion uses. So the following are the inputs that we used in the calculation, which was the number of departures per day, the vessel passenger capacity, and the crew size. And in looking at that, what we did is we had to use some assumptions because each one, I'm sure, is operating differently. So what we did was the following assumptions were used to calculate the ERU. We had a crew size of 2, a client capacity of 2, and the number of departures per day were 2, as if they were half-day trips. So 8 trips per day was determined by multiplying the crew size, the capacity, and then the number of daily departures. Dividing those 8 trips by the daily residential trip of 9.43 gave us an ERU of 0.85. So comparing it to the benefit that the residential unit is getting, they're getting a benefit of 0.85 of a residential unit. That's how it was calculated.
Okay, I have a question on that. I can understand that for fishing guides because the guides usually do 1 or 2 trips a day. A lot of them try to do a morning, afternoon, which would fit that scale. And then you bring in all the manatee boats we have, which there's a boatload of them, and there's a big, 50 or 80 passenger boat out there that goes out, and they go out on probably 6, 7, 8 trips a day. Depends how busy it is, and they take crews with them. And usually, I think the boats I see, I'd say an average of 4 probably people on the manatee boats. Sometimes 2, but most of the time 4 or 6.
Are those boats B and D?
They're D dock.
I think they're D dock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have. I hate to get the commercial all broke up, but I can understand fishing guides at a 0.85. But then you turn around and have a large passenger boat with how many on that big boat? Does anyone know? 50 or something?
63.
60, okay, 60 on the large boat, and then the manatee boats are out there with 7 trips a day sometimes.
We lost you.
So,
Can you hear us?
I mean, if that is the case, we can turn around and recalculate for those. Hello? Can you hear me?
We can all hear you on Zoom. I'm not sure what's going on in the room.
Oh, okay. Basically, that can be recalculated, determining, a different benefit for them because they are generating more traffic. I mean, if you have 50 of them there a day, that must be a pretty crowded parking lot. And I mean, 50 a day is 50 per trip. And if you're doing 7 trips, if they're doing 7, that's, 350 trips.
Not the big boat. The big boat's not doing 7 trips a day.
he does like one every.
It might do 2, 3.
Okay.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
But he brings in like 50 people. Tour buses come in for the big boat and unload when he's going out. So
Yeah.
Well, if he's bringing them in on a tour bus, which is basically a trip, a single trip when you think about it. It's not 50 cars.
Yeah. Okay.
So
The only thing I've got input here is we're talking about very small difference in money that we're going to be revenue that we're going to take in 0.85 versus 1 for a battle to go against the recommendation. I just don't see that it's worth it.
No,
I mean,
Russ, what I was looking for, I guess, is to see, I don't know if it's worth going into 2 levels of commercial use where you go twice a day or you do multiple trips a day, if that's something we want to go to, or just keep it all under 1.
yeah. I think we're already complicated enough. So, and if somebody changes, I don't know. I just think we're so complicated. We got to minimize.
I have a question for Steve. Steve, I know worked a lot on this. Do you have any questions? Can I ask Steve if he has any questions?
Yeah, the only question I had was on the vacant property. So if you If you want me to ask them before he leaves, I
Yeah,
I
let's
will
save
wait.
that. Okay, save that for the end then.
Yeah.
I understand, can everybody there hear us?
No, no,
Hear us?
we've got internet issues here. I'm trying to get the main computer back online.
Well, then I guess
Okay.
let's pause.
Right? Just hang out.
Where's my cupcake?
There we go. We're gonna get this thing offline here.
Okay, can you hear us? Hello?
Can hear you through Zoom. It's just not going through Dave's computer.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, sorry. I had, as I came back into the meeting, it muted me. Should be good now. Can you hear us?
Yep,
Yes.
I can.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Go.
All right, so back to our list. So we have liverboards, we have docks, we have commercial. What else do we need? Hotel?
So are we staying at 0.8 on the commercials, 0.85?
I mean, if you want my opinion, I think they should be at least a 1, but that's my opinion. And I think Russ needs to go back to the drawing board and really look at it. So with some new information.
I think 1 would be fair.
Yeah. Okay. Any comment from Russ?
No, I think, it's close enough that if you go 1 to 1, I'm
Okay.
comfortable with that.
Is there,
All
would it be helpful, Russ? Is there more that they can provide you to when an lease says go back to the drawing board? Is there more information they can provide you, or I just want to make sure that because I that's what we're trying to make sure we cover today. Is there something else they could give you? Is there more data that you need?
Well, it depends on how far down you want to go. I mean, if you want to add those different commercial uses, like you're talking about, where you have the manatee trips versus the fishing boat trips, then I would need that more information. But if you're going to keep them all under the 0.85, I don't need any more information.
Okay. Let's move on. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Where else do we have?
Well, just to give you a sense of where we are, if we take those recreational water docks on B, the net effect of that will be to decrease the total number of ERUs by a factor of 21, or in that particular case, it cost us about $16,500 in revenue, rough numbers. But I think your rationale at the 0.25 should be well received by the those unit owners in the condominium. All others would remain at 1 then for the time being. And again, that takes into account what we've been calling either the split lot and a halves or the double lots. Those adjustments have already been made.
So can we ask for the next meeting? Can we have all this in writing?
Yeah, there will be a revised schedule by property type that shows the total number of units by property type, and then the grand total. And at the current rate of assessment of 721.26, it'll tell you and show you what the total revenue stream will be for O&Ms in the general fund.
Okay.
With that, I think I have the direction that I need. Are there any other areas or questions concerning the methodology? If not, we can move on to the utility issue.
I would just like to see it before you publish it. Just send it to me and the board before you publish it, so we can make sure that when we come to the next meeting, we pretty much have it like 90%
It'll
going
be
forward.
more.
What about the O&Ms on the hotel?
Exactly.
We didn't clear that up yet, did we? Is it 13?
On the On the hotel, there are a total of 86 hotel condominium rooms.
No, not the condominiums, just the hotel.
Right.
Well, it's both.
No, they're not the same. A hotel room is not a live-in condominium. They
Well,
can't be the
yes, it
same.
is. It is.
I'm sorry, who's
We have,
speaking?
have about 24 owners that own their own unit. And then you have,
I hate to interrupt. I just want to make sure we're keeping this orderly. If if you're receiving public comment, we need to have names, and I think you need to be recognized by the chair.
He's just butting in.
I think we need to finish talking about this before we take public comment on it.
So I just
Um,
want to. I just want to make sure. Did we decide that the commercial slips are moving to 1, or are we keeping them at 0.85?
They're going to remain at 1 pending further analysis of actual trip generation impacts and will be reported separately at a later date.
And the decision will be made at the actual upcoming meeting. This is just to talk through what the options are.
Okay.
Okay, so the hotel rooms in the hotel, not the condominiums. Russ had a good handle on how Naples handles it, the city of Naples. I think we need to look at that. I don't believe they should be a 1. They're not a residential. People don't live in them. People don't live in them.
Hello, hello.
like they
This is the AMY property company with the hotel
We're not-
condo.
We're not taking public comment.
All right.
We're not taking
There
public
are no
comment.
condos. They're all hotels.
Thank you.
94 units.
Please, we need to keep this because we have minutes that we're taking here. The board will accept public comment when we get to that portion of the meeting.
Saying
What
So
we're talking about now is the 13 hotel rooms. What is their O&M for the
there's
hotel?
70 hotel rooms if you want
Oh my God.
Again,
You
please.
You can't, you're talking about a different thing than we are. We want the hotel, just what O&Ms are for the hotel, whether you include the restaurant, the banquet room, what's the O&M value for the hotel?
Those 13 rooms are not
What?
13 rooms.
Oh my God.
We may need to mute her.
yes, please.
Dave, can you mute her just for a second? As historically assigned, there's 2 different schedules for hotel rooms. All of them, for recent history, have been charged 1 ERU. There's 86 condominiumized hotels, and then there's a separate tax ID for a parcel that is called South Hotel Reserve, and that includes not only the lobby area and the restaurant, but it has a total of 33 units for that parcel. That's how the tax roll has historically been presented.
I think that needs to be looked at as a hotel.
Wow.
And hotel rooms. I think that what they got going there is not fair.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but I'm just telling you it's been that way for
Right.
some period of time.
Okay.
This is Russ. Let me give you a quick explanation on that. And I can go back and revisit it, but in reality, we gave each of the hotel rooms a considered as a 1 residential unit. And the trip generation wasn't quite as high as a residential unit, but we did not include the bar, we did not include the restaurant, and all of that trip generation. If you add that all back in, it basically comes out to a residential unit trip generation.
Okay.
That's how
All
I
right.
got.
I just wanted to be fair.
No, I understand, and I need it to be. It has to. We have to prove the benefit, and is it fair and reasonable? Those are the 2 tests of the lienability.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's how I calculated it. I mean, if we wanted to go through and you want to, you'd have to assess the bar and the restaurant and all of that as well. So we just said, well, let's just do it all as 1 per unit. That's the way it worked out.
Okay.
Okay, so O&Ms,
All right.
still on O&Ms, and it's a 1 for anything that's associated with the hotel then, whether they're condominiums or they're rooms.
Yes.
That's correct.
All right. Okay. All right, so we can move on. Then we got it, that's settled. All right. What else we got left?
I'm not aware of anything else on the O&Ms unless there's some further board question or concerns.
So let's move on to the meters.
What about Steve?
Well, I would say public comment generally, if you want, and I'll
No,
make.
no, we were saving him for last for the
Yeah.
vacant
Okay.
property, O&M.
Steve, talk.
Okay. Russ, my question is, O&Ms, the board established there should be 4 O&Ms per acre on vacant property. My question on that is, and I know how you did your methodology. You figured out how many acres were there, and you did the math, and you came up that residential units basically are at about a 0.25 acres per residential unit. And so then you extrapolated that and said, okay, then on an acre of commercial property, there should be 4 O&Ms on that property. Correct. I don't understand how you can extrapolate the same, because I can't build residential units on a vacant property. It's commercial. And right now, our vacant properties are producing 0 trips and 0
What's your
water?
benefit?
Yeah, where's my benefits? I don't understand.
Just a minute. Let me explain a little bit. A couple of things. Number one, normally, if I were to do a methodology, I would go by what your entitlements are for those properties. So if you have square footage that you're allotted on that property, I would do it as a either retail or office or whatever it is. I would do it as that trip generation, which is going to be a lot more than the blank piece of land you have there, because it's the entitlements and the benefits that they're getting from that. Now, you're looking at it at a point in time. I have to look at it from the beginning. This is like a master methodology. And as you get that developed and you get that entitled, that will change from the 4 units per 4 ERUs per acre to the actual use that you have in there, and we will calculate the trips generated. So that's how I got to the 4 per, as you saw in my calculation. That's how I got to the 4 per acre.
Okay.
Well, then my question to the board is then, why is my property the only one who's been paying 4 per acre? There's lots of vacant properties on that place, and mine is the only one who's been paying 4. Tell me how that works out.
Well, then we have to look at those other vacant properties and bring them up to 4.
So we have to find out what they are and bring them up to 4.
But I want to note that what your consultant said was he looks at entitlements. And so if a property, for example, parcel 13 is in a PUD that has a set number of entitlements as to possible units, I assume that's what he's looking at as well.
But there are others. There are others that we
and there are others, and I agree. I'm just putting that out there.
All right. So let's figure out what those others are. And
but just by way of explanation, the county's marina and sublease, they're paying 14.96 ERUs. The parcel that is identified as the southwest parcel is paying 5.52 ERUs, and then there are 2 southeast parcels. One is the one owned by our board, and the other is Steve's. The southeast parcel is 12 ERUs, and Steve's apparently is currently 7, being slightly more than an acre. So it runs the gamut from 5 to 15, depending on the size of the commercial property.
Let's just make sure we didn't leave anybody out. That's all.
You said it's slightly bigger than an acre and it's got 7. Why doesn't it have 4?
Well, there's 4 per acre.
4 per acre.
Right. You said it's slightly larger than an acre. So why isn't it 5 then?
It has to be closer to 2 or 2 acres. It has to be closer to that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you said slightly bigger than an acre.
So does to resolve this piece, Russ, do you need any information from the board about the vacant properties?
I don't think so. We looked at them all, and it's been going ever since that way. So unless somebody comes before the board and says mine isn't, or you guys identify a piece of property that hasn't been included. I think we included them all though. So
Does that include the gun club?
gun club has its own allocation. That is correct.
What
They don't
about
get it at, I'm sorry, they don't get it at a 4 per acre. They get it on a based on a trip generation. I think they get 8, somewhere in there.
That's correct. It's 8.
Okay.
Scotty
They're paying
Breppen's
it-
property over there, the empty parking lot area where everybody parks and stuff? That's all 4 per acre. That's already figured in.
Yes.
Okay.
Chair Hansen, do you want to have any other public comment on O&M before we move on to ERU?
Yeah, let's see what anybody has to say.
Oh, I'm still a little confused. This is Leo. I own a condo in part of the hotel complex. And my question is, I'm still a little confused. My room that I own, like, I'm not there all the time. I'm only there maybe 4 or 5 times a year. And you're talking something of a 1% as the same rate as someone who has, I don't know, multi bathrooms and pool. And I mean, am I getting in that same rate lumped in at that type of residential?
Well,
I mean,
I guess
I have
let
a
me provide
300
some,
square foot room. That's what I'm a little confused about.
just a little contextualization. We're talking about the operation and maintenance budget right now, not the utilities.
Okay. So utilities will fall into that part of it, the water.
Right.
No, this is not the
Okay.
utility.
All right.
This
So
is not that.
I'll bring that up when you're up to that point.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Anyone else?
There was the representative from the hotel. Does she want to speak at this point or on the utilities point?
I have a question. Zach, I have a question.
No, I just wanted to state that the 94 rooms are 86 residential and 94 commercial. But they're transient facilities. They're 300 square feet rooms. There's no such difference between a hotel or a condo for that complex.
And
There's no difference.
Right. And they're not going to be, they are right now a 1.
Okay.
Resident and hotel. Same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's higher than it used to be, but okay, I guess they have to accept that, but we'll see
Yeah.
what
No,
comes.
we don't have to accept it, and that's why we're working on it. We don't have to accept a 1. We should be 50 or 25, 300 square feet.
Russ,
It's not based on size though. It's based on trip generation. And if you want to go the other way, it could be higher.
Those 94 rooms have no trip generation other than the restaurant you're sitting in. That's it. And the bar.
So nobody's living in the rooms?
Maybe 3 times a year. There's one
Doesn't
car.
matter.
Nobody's having a trip. There's no such thing as a trip thing with
if
these
you could
94 rooms.
state
You
your
don't
name
know-
for the record, just so we're clear, because it says Carl Hauser, but I'm not so sure. What's your name for the record?
Yolanda?
Yeah, it's Yolanda DiBartolo and Attila Yo with ANY Cam Duo Services.
Right. Trip
I think what Russ to the board, I think what Russ is saying, and Russ, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that it's about the possible use of the unit, the entitlement. And so there's nothing stopping anyone from living in this hotel room 365 days out of the year. If that's not the reality on the ground, that doesn't mean it couldn't be the reality on the ground. And we certainly aren't sitting here watching everyone come and go from their houses to figure out how much they're actually using the roads. We're trying to come up with fair averages.
And we use the Institute of Traffic Engineers data, which is used when somebody goes into entitlements for their piece of land into the county. That's the Bible that they use, and that's what we're using for calculations of all these assessments.
Okay. Thank you, Russ.
But do you want to switch over to the next?
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Okay.
Yes.
Russ, unless you don't have other things to do, thank you again for your time. If you would just kind of, to Chairman Hansen's request, kind of memorialize your understanding of the direction here today in an email to me, and in turn, we'll use that to revise our schedule.
And again, it wasn't direction. This is just we're trying to get feedback, and so if we're trying to provide additional information for the board to consider at their next meeting.
Right.
Yes, correct.
And Neil, you and I will have to get together on that just to make sure, because I'm in the car. I'm not taking notes at the moment.
No, that's fair. I've got some notes and we'll do that. And then if you would memorialize that in an email, I think it'd be fine.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Can everybody there hear us?
Yes.
So
If I may, before we move on from the O and Ms, I have one question for Zach. Zach, you said that was a PUD for Lindsay's land. All right, because we're under a POD, but we're not. The latest contract is that the contract was terminated when the time frame ran out. We didn't do anything about it. So now we're
No, that's not what I'm saying. We, the district, don't create a planned unit development. The county in the zoning created a planned unit development. Lindsay's land parcel 13, the zoning designation is a planned unit development. That from a zoning standpoint has a certain number of residential units associated with it. If you give me a moment, and I can bring this up when I have it pulled up, I can give you the name of the PUD so you can look it up.
Didn't that go away with the contract? Because all that was in the
No.
contract.
no, the underlying zoning would still be in place there, Dan. What either he or a future owner is entitled to build.
We don't do zone. We have no zoning authority. So we were negotiating utility availability based off of his zoning entitlements, but we didn't set the zoning entitlements. That's the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay, and that stays there no matter what we
It's
do with the
there as long.
contract.
I mean, there may be some provisions in the PUD that cause it to expire that I'm unaware of. That sometimes happens, but the current Collier County zoning map reflects it as having a PUD on it.
Does he have a certain amount of time to actually take advantage of that plan and build out, or is it?
He might, and I will pull up the PUD. And while we're talking, I will interrupt once I have it pulled up.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
If you want, I can introduce the utility issues and then Zach can provide that update, or we can wait and give him a moment.
Let's move forward and then
Let's talk to Jared.
Yep.
So,
Am I good?
yeah, thanks, Russ.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
From
Talk to you soon.
from your last meeting, there was continued interest to evaluate the board's, I believe it was unanimous decision at the time that the new rate structure was adopted and went into effect last October the 1st. That being that the base rate would be based on the actual number of units physically being served through that meter as opposed to the industry standards. By way of example, a 2-inch meter, which is the meter in question, the national industry standard for a 2-inch meter is 8 equivalent residential connections. In the case of the hotel and the hotel condominiums and their 2-inch meters, in those cases, they're serving 20 or more total units through that size meter. So they're being charged the total, not the industry standard. And the board seemed to indicate at their last meeting that they wanted to revisit that. Mr. Ori will provide a summary that the base rate was intended to replace the former revenue stream that came from the property tax bill through the assessment. And then there are various consumption rates on a metered basis that is the balance of the bill that gets generated. Rob, do you want to tee any of that up or hear the board's concerns with respect to the motion that was adopted as opposed to your original recommendation? And or correct me if I'm mistaken.
No, from what I understand, I think you summarized it pretty good. First of all, good afternoon to everyone on the call. This is Rob Ori for the record, Raftelis Financial Consultants. The base charge was as proposed or redesigned, let me say it that way, in the study several years ago, looked at a meter-based rate versus a unit-based rate per se. That is also the rate structure that Collier County employs right now. It's per meter size. And the factors, the 8 ERCs that Neil mentioned, that is based on the instantaneous demand capacity of the meters based on information published by the American Water Works Association. It's utilized by many, many utilities in the state, including the Florida Public Service Commission and Collier County. There are many utilities that do have a unit-based rate. I don't want to say that that's not uncommon. There are several that have that out there, and they're evaluated differently. Many times I see zero point 0.5 ERCs, even, oops, there you go. I lost you guys for a second. 0.5 ERCs per unit, etc. It depends on a study to do that. The direction several years ago on the meter-based was to try to also maintain consistency with Collier County, since there could be a chance at some point that there maybe could be an acquisition or something like that. We wanted consistency with the county, and that was a very common rate structure. That was the direction we went. I don't know if that's too much information, but I just wanted to mention that.
Following that, then working with Chairman Hansen as the liaison, the engineer has gone out to reconcile the various meters and their location and the serial numbers for the accounts in question. And in reviewing my notes, there are a total of 5 different meters for the resort hotel condominium, and then the hotel holding company A&T Investments. They have 3 separate meters that I consider to be active. There are some inactive meters. For example, the 4-inch meter for the hotel is an old irrigation meter that is not currently active, and so these are for the active ones. Jared, do you want to elaborate on any of that?
I think we lost him.
Yeah,
I don't
think
see him.
Let me see if I can get him.
Neil, while you're trying to get him, this is Rob again. As he's doing this, the meters you mentioned, one of the concerns we had in the last study, was trying to get some of this data, was get an accurate meter count, and I would suggest that may not be a bad idea. If it's you got
We're
unless you
certainly
got better
trying.
data, unless you have better data, an inventory would probably be a good thing to do just to validate. But again,
And Jared is working on that, by the
okay,
way.
great. Okay, great. Thank you.
Guys,
But if you look
I've
at our
been-
rules of procedure, they say that any folio should have a meter. So
Right.
keep that in mind.
While we're
Yeah,
waiting,
that's what we're counting meters.
the
There you go.
parcel 13 PUD was a 2024 rezoning. I've emailed a copy of that to you, Dan. It has
Yes, I see.
109 approved units, which is closer to 2 per acre, based on its 51.5 acre size.
Okay.
With no sunset clause
I
to
didn't
that.
see. I don't see an expiration in the PUD itself, and I don't see one in the base code. But I want to look into that further. If there is
Okay.
if there is a sunset, then that definitely matters. So I will take a look
Okay.
at that.
All right. So on the hotel condos, I know we talk about that a lot. I did some more research on that, and what I found was that it really mattered whether they were privately owned condos for private use or commercially owned condos for commercial use. So if a hotel has 96 rooms, they would be a commercial use with a large meter that would dictate the meter size would dictate the number of charges to that account. All right. If they were privately owned for private use, then it said it was based on the number of units connected. So that was the differential that I could find trying to research that. That's where the difference lies. So that's what we've been saying all along, is that the condos were all sold out privately. They're all separate tax parcels with the county. They're not all owned by the hotel and under the commercial hotel and used commercially. So I guess that would, for me, that would be the cutoff. That's where they make the difference. As much research as I could find, that's the big difference right there. If it's private use, privately owned, it gets billed just like it had its own meter.
Well, if you look at our rules of procedure, it's supposed to have its own meter. So are the boat docks. So
It doesn't have to. The county, it says the county does do it. I looked up Collier County too to see what they did.
Well,
They do.
I'm talking about our rules of procedure.
Right. I'm just saying that the difference was the county does it too. There's some of that out there.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think we're far off. I mean,
No, I don't either.
I always say my neighbor's condo gets used 3 weekends a year. They live in New York, or three. I shouldn't say weekends. They come in for like 7 to 10 days, 3 times a year. The rest of the time it sits empty. So you can't say that. And transient use. Yolanda talked about transient use. Transient use, all that is short-term rental. All right. And a lot of associations outlaw the transient use because they don't want people coming and going all the time. But there's no difference between a condo and a transient condo other than they've allowed in their bylaws, they've allowed short-term tenancy or rental. It's the only difference.
So, okay. Do we have any notes on what it costs for us to maintain our water and sewer plant per year?
Were we able to get Jared on here, or no, we don't have him yet?
He dropped. I'm trying. Stand by.
Hey, I just have a question. I know where we're going to end up going with this pretty much, but the boat docks that are bib only, correct?
Correct.
The most expensive water we have is treating the sewage. So those the bib only, they cannot be a 1 because they're not getting the same. They are a 1 now though, aren't they? The bib only?
No, I don't know. You mean they're charged for a meter?
Yes.
Everybody's charged for a meter. I think we need to look at that 1 meter for that.
Because they don't pay for anything. I mean, they're paying for sewer, but they don't have it. Is my point.
Right.
So I think we got mixed up between the O&Ms and the ERUs because the O&Ms we always had one for everybody. Everybody's paying their $721 or whatever it is. All right. Then we talked about what we discussed last meeting was the ERUs when we looked at recreational slips on VDOC being 0.25 and some, that kind of thing. So that numbers that we talked about before were actually on the ERU schedule that Russ Weir had at our last meeting. That at our last meeting, Russ had that schedule right there with the ERUs. And that's what I thought that's what we were discussing before, because the O&Ms, we hadn't discussed changing anyone from a 721 for roads and that kind of thing, but we did talk about changing them for their flat rate.
Well, today we just talked about changing the O&Ms to 0.25 for the bib only.
Well, I think they need, I don't know what meter size they have, but I think the meter size that they have, they pay a certain rate for however many hose bibs they have. Where you have the liveaboards who should have a meter, so they would get a meter charge.
Yeah. I'm not arguing that. I just,
the liveaboards get a meter charge. Any residential unit gets a meter charge.
But again, what are we going to do with the utility rate for the bib only? What's that going to be?
Well, we have to figure out what the size of it is and how many it is on it.
What-
the size of the meter?
What size meter is it? Is it a 2-inch meter? And how many units do you have on it?
But we don't care what size. We've got 20 units on a 2-inch meter. We're only going to get paid for 8, but we've assigned a 1 to them already. So I mean, if we're going to be consistent, the liveaboards are all getting a 1, correct? But they
We're
don't get
talking about a meter charge here now, right?
right.
Okay, so every liveaboard gets a meter charge.
Right.
Every residential unit gets a meter charge.
Right. That's why I'm
A
asking.
boat dock, you don't. Yeah, we'll have to figure out what that is.
Right.
This is Rob again. There's suddenly a little bit of confusion. Everyone who has a meter is a separate meter to their service, whatever it is, should get a rate. If this is a consecutive meter where it goes into the hotel and then you got boat docks on the other end, it's all because you can't charge them twice. You got to look at the meter, what it is. And so I'm assuming this is individually metered service. If that's the case, it's based on the meter size. If it's 1 meter serving the 20 boat docks, technically it's 1 meter. And there's not 20 additional units on top of that. When Mr. Truckee was talking, I've not heard Collier County billing unit-based rates behind the master meter. They don't do that. So I don't know. I wasn't quite sure. I'd like to come back to him because I didn't quite understand what Collier was doing.
Well, we have to figure out the equivalent for what a meter rate would be for each boat dock and charge that on that meter, that 1 meter.
Okay, then you're not doing meters. You're doing meter size, but you're not doing meter equivalent based on what.
Well, then we give everybody a meter. Everybody's supposed to, according to our rule.
That's different.
Everybody gets a meter.
Yeah, that's
everybody
different.
has a meter. Well, they don't. They never installed meters. So where do you go from there?
I mean, you can if you got this class like this where by convenience you've got a master meter there for these boat docks because you can't do it. You probably need to identify that separately as individually metered they're not a master metered account. They're an individually metered, but the only way to do that is through a master meter. I see some people do that with residential developments. They have a master meter going to the residential development, but they bill it as if there's 100 units there. I think that's what Mr. Truckee was talking about.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
And so
that's what we're going to have to do unless they put in meters.
You need to identify those situations and then set it accordingly, as you well know.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so we need to know what it cost us. Then we need to know how many meters we have. And I know that Jarrett was having a hard time with some of these things.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. So, Jerry, you want to tell us the hard time you've been having?
Well, you have quite a few meters out there, and we've been able to go through and sort them out and get pretty much. Let's see, what is it? About 700 and I'd say just over 700 squared away and assigned to individual folks. And we do have several meters that are going to the boat docks and the condos, but these were put in so long ago, we really don't have any way without getting out there and starting digging up things, figuring out exactly who's behind what meter. So we really don't know if that's an appropriately sized meter or however many people are back behind it for things like the docks and the condos. But we know everybody that has a parcel ID is being assigned to a meter and they're getting assessed.
We just don't have an accurate reading for some of these meters, is what you're saying.
Yes.
So let's turn the water off and find out who doesn't have water. Then we'll know who's on there and who's not.
That would be a way to do it. My suspicion, though, is looking at it, you don't have a whole lot of large meters. Like you've only got a couple of 2-inch meters that would be feeding different parts of the hotel.
Uh-huh.
And if you've got 50 units or 50 hotel rooms on the other side of a 2-inch meter, that's probably not big enough for that demand. So, and since your rate schedule is based off of meter size, that would all need to be reassessed.
So, and if I can just add to this, to the chairman's question, it boils down to three meters and three accounts. And let me just read those for those that are taking notes or for the minutes. For example, at the resort condominium, there are two large meters, accounts number 30692, and the other one is 30693. And to the best of our knowledge, they are serving 25 units each. Then in the hotel, the primary meter for the hotel, A&T Investments, 30678 is the account number. For all in, including the restaurant, the 13 units upstairs, they're being charged 61 total units off of that 2-inch meter. So we got three 2-inch meters in question. There's only one 4-inch meter in the entire community, and it's inactive. That's an old irrigation and potentially a fire flow meter for the hotel. Jared, can you just reiterate that? And if it's also fire flow, does that mean I don't know? Are there standpipes or separate fire hydrants at the hotel?
There shouldn't be anything dedicated for that, no. And I think that 4-inch meter comes off of the old potable line, but it was used for irrigation.
Okay.
But it was also, there was a lot of looping that was done in the past, and then some of the loops were broken. So we don't know if that's could be even turned on and hooked up to anything.
Oh, okay. I need to go back to what you said about the hotel. You said the hotel had 68?
61.
61.
61 rooms or locations are being charged. So we have 61 at one, right? Off that meter.
Yes.
Now, but do we know which ones they go to? We don't know what those 61 units are. I mean,
In terms of the plumbing, no. And that's, I don't even know, frankly, if utilities as a rule really, have that sort of information on the backside of the meter. But in this case, for that account that I referenced, there's 61 there, and then there's an additional 57, 50 at those two big meters for the condo.
So there's only 50 condos.
so that adds up to 111. I mean, yeah, 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, 111, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise we're dealing again with some 3/4-inch meters that are active, but it was hard to reconcile whether they were serving multiple units for that small a meter.
Yeah, okay, but I just want to go back. That means out of that, not counting that F building out front, the hotel and the surrounding units there'd have to be 111 what do you want to call it?
Meters.
But are 111 financial tax IDs, right?
Utility.
Are there 111 utilities there? Potential residents?
Some of those again are commercial units, presumably for the bar and the hotel units upstairs. In addition to whatever feeds the restrooms, on the ground floor off the lobby, and that does not include a separate.
But those have tax ID. You're talking about locations. They have tax IDs. I'm confused. How they could have 111? It just seems like too much.
It's only 86 rooms for the hotel. My name is Leo, and I live there. I mean, I don't live there, but I own the unit. So it's only 86 total units, not 112.
I know we got to locate these. I don't need interruption from the community. I understand you're going to be upset, but you got to sit back and wait. I'm on your side. I just want to know where we're getting 111 charges, 111 charges for 111 residencies there. That's
I think
basically
that's
what you're
Jared's
telling me.
issue, that he has to like do more digging to find this out.
And
Am I
just
correct,
to
Jared?
provide
We're still trying to sort through it all.
Yes,
one piece
let's,
of information, there are 95 tax IDs associated with 2,500 Tamiami Trail East. So the hotel's address has 95 parcels numbers.
Wow.
So so there are a substantial number of tax IDs here.
So we only need to know where 16 more of them go.
Well,
right.
and that might be, I'm just looking at them here. There's a commercial component that might explain the answer to that question pretty quickly, because I'm only looking at, if you look at the way the property lines are drawn, I'm only looking at the building itself. The property lines are a little wonky here, and so I'm sure there's an answer here. But I wanted to just provide that because it just seems like there very well may be that many tax IDs.
So, like I said, Jared, you're still working on this, correct?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So let's let Jared do his job. All right.
And then as to this point globally, and while we have, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the consultant,
Rob.
Ori. Do you have any input on this? So is it just, is the input that everyone just needs a meter, or can you, I just want to make sure we're getting that talked
The rate to match Collier County and where you wanted to go 2 years ago, the rate was set based on the meter to serve the property. If you have 100 meters in this hotel serving, each property owner gets a bill. The hotel doesn't get the bill. Who is receiving service gets the bill. I don't know if that's an issue or not. So it's all based on the meter that's there. What you cannot do is have a meter to the hotel and 100 units behind there and bill both of them. That you
Right.
can't do.
You can't double dip. We get it.
You can't double dip. That's correct. like a tostito in the guacamole.
Pretty nice, but we can't do that. We
You
won't do
cannot
that.
do that.
We
And
want this to be fair and equitable to everybody. That's why we're
and
spending
that's
this
why the
much time on
meter is very fair because it's got the base charge attached to the demand
Right.
that they're asking for through the meter. And then they got the flow obviously registered by the unit, and that unit's responsible for their own flow, and it's not prorated to everybody by the commercial customer, I'll call it, by the number of units that are there.
Wow.
Many instances, the bar and the pool areas or whatever, they're usually separately metered. Restaurant, I would see that being separately metered as well. That's a commercial use. If you're going to bill all the individual units of property owners, that's more like a residential use to me. It's a residential dwelling unit, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think we have to separate the commercial from the residential.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Might be a little difficult plumbing wise, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
if it's prohibitive plumbing wise, you could possibly do it by agreement. It's to save money, but technically, I'm going by the premise that every owner gets a meter. I'm going by that.
well, if they don't, then they'll just pay the meter charge. That's all.
How do we get the identification of the tax ID number? What the description of what the tax ID is for? How do we get that?
I think Jared has that. Don't you have that, Jared?
Yeah, that's in our 10,000 cell spreadsheet.
So if you got 95 tax IDs, you'd know what they were. Each one was going identified as, what the description of that tax ID.
Right. Yeah, that is part of what we're doing. We're associating a tax ID with a meter, with an account, and we're sorting through that. Yeah.
I think we're getting there. I'm hoping that's going to be done by the next meeting so we can just be done with it.
Yeah, I just don't see how that hotel can have so many. That's
Yeah,
weird.
it is weird. So, all right, so let's move on. I think we've accomplished what we needed to accomplish at this meeting.
Yeah, there were no other identified items other than those two. We will reflect the change. You're meeting again 2 weeks from today to adopt the budget for the coming year that will reflect those changes, both for the split lots as well as the changes for the recreational water only boat dock slips. Separately, if we can add some clarity to the utility base billings, we will do that as part of that same meeting. I will
Okay.
tell you that neither the hotel or the resort condo have paid their most recent water bills, and they were scheduled to be shut off. I delayed that until the workshop today, just because neither one of them has made any sort of partial payment or payment under protest and reserving their rights. And that will have some financial implications, obviously, when we get to the end of September and close out the fiscal year. And so I'll need a little direction at the meeting on the 20th as to whether or not we're going to schedule those for shut off in accordance with your policy.
Yeah, let's figure out where we're at and if they've overpaid. I mean, I think they may have overpaid.
If we don't have a description of the tax ID, what it is, I don't see how we can hold them responsible for that bill. We don't know we don't know if they're. It's just up in the air. I got to say one more thing. It sounds like you're getting ready to tie it up, and because in the future, I don't know if I'm not going to be there in August, but if you're going to go with these ones on anything that's like a residential, any of those little 300 square foot or the liveaboards and whatnot, then I just want people to think about lowering our base rate and making it up. I'm for that. I'm all for being a consumption type thing. Like if it goes to 50, and that'll clear up with the hose bib only people too. If we do something like that, you know what I mean? Because
I think the board has clarified that on the O&M side, and you have already reduced the base rate from 128 and changed to 100. That's going to be reflected in the bills that people receive next week. We've retroactively.
I'm talking about going to a base rate of 50 and doubling and tripling water rates. Like the irrigation water is the most expensive, but we're the cheapest in the country probably in irrigation water. We have to change those. If you're going to stay with a 1, which is the easy way to go for everybody to get in the 1, we just have to really reduce the base rate.
Well, the board
agreed. I think that is where we're headed.
Okay.
The more people you put on the base rate, the lower the base rate will be. We need just to support the maintenance for the sewer and water plant, and then recoup the cost of making water through the water bill. That's how it's done. And we all agree on that. At least I do.
1.5 to 1.9 million is the base cost on operating that plant. So different sources.
Right. To operate the plant is one bill, to make water is another bill, and we should be able to recoup that by what we charge for water.
Okay. And one other thing I want to throw out there, and I can't even imagine this, but they said by 2050, granted we're all going to be dead, water's going to cost double what it costs now. That's the forecast.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
They said we were going to all die in 2000.
Yeah.
McNamee may go to 2050, but I agree with your comment on the balance.
Okay. All right.
With that, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. We need to make a motion to.
Hold on. May I make a comment, please?
Public comment.
It's Catherine Kellmeyer again. May I make a comment? Sure. Thank you. As far as the marina goes and the dock situation on the water sewer side, our quarterly fees used to be around $350, and I'm just going by memory with this. At the last meeting, we had to up it to over $700 a quarter because each of the 175 docks were being billed the $128 for having a meter, and you have discussed how many meter services the docks. And I would appreciate it if you would look at that, and if I could get any more definite information as far as the water bills coming in from the marina or what my fees are, I'll gladly do that. But to my knowledge, each of the $775 docks are paying the $128.53 on the meter charge for one.
That'll be changed. That will be definitely changed.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I address the
Okay.
board for a moment?
Sure.
Yeah,
Good.
sorry, today's meeting was very, very rough. We had issues with connectivity and the internet, and I couldn't get updates of certain cameras, and they failed. So, we really do need to get back into the community center. I don't know where that stands right now, but we've spent money, we have good connectivity there. We need to put some emphasis on getting us in there and push back on the county a little bit. I don't know if Zach can give us an idea of where we're at with that or whatnot, but we do need to do that.
We're close.
Just for the sanctity of our meetings here.
Talk to Kevin.
We're close.
Okay.
All right. Thanks,
You.
Dave. Appreciate your help.
Motion.
Can I ask one quick question? I haven't, no one has talked about the marina, talked about the
Please
hotel.
identify yourself, please.
My name is Leo Ramos, and I have a condo unit there. My question is, are we looking into the fire department because they have also water, right? Are they getting metered? Are they part of this whole metering inventory you're doing, and also the ship store?
Yes, they all have separate commercial accounts.
Nobody escapes. All
For
right, I
both.
make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Hello, I didn't have my chance to speak.
Oh, okay.
Yolanda DiBartolo, AMY Cam Duo Services. Mr. Neil Darrell, your calculations are way off. I don't know if you're using a phase development of a master association that never existed and never happened from years back, or what phase plan you're using to figure out this. The whole total thing is only 94 minus 8 is 86 units. You're billing for over 111 units there that don't even exist. It's not in existence.
Okay, but we're going to figure that out.
Oh,
Figure it
okay.
out. Yeah,
Oh,
we're going to
okay.
work on that. So don't worry about it. We're figuring it out. Jared's going to work on it. Our engineer.
All right.
All right.
Thanks. And if
And
you
I-
need to show
I
you where
think-
these are, I can get someone to do that for you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
There's a motion and a second if there's no other public comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Rob Bory, thank you very much.
Thank you.